health director here, not the safety director, the health director here, to narrate ordinance number 504-2025 by council members Conwell, Griffin, Santana, KZ, McCormack, Slife, Morrow, issue, and Gray. It's an emergency ordinance establishing a moratorium on the issues of use,
Okay.
permits, and building permits,
Council piece.
certificates of occupancy, sign permits, tobacco retail sale licenses, and other license or permit applications for smoke shops. Ordinance number 504-2025 have been approved by the health director, approved by the city planning director, as well as the finance director. Health director, sir?
Sure. So thank you to the chair, to the council members. So this piece would do a moratorium on new smoke shop licenses and occupancy use permits. And as we've discussed, I think now that, or I know now that the zoning restriction is set in place that basically eliminates any occupancy permit for a smoke shop that's within 2 miles of an existing smoke shop with an occupancy permit. I think the moratorium is no longer necessary as a piece of legislation. And so recommending that it's held at this time.
Okay.
And through the chair to the committee, I just want to point out, we prepared this moratorium and introduced it at the request of many council members. And while I agree with the director that it's really great that the smoke shop zoning piece is already in place and that the 2 miles is in place, and that will take care of a lot of problems. The value of the moratorium is that it is in place and there will be no licenses or permits issued for smoke shops until the tobacco licensing piece is in effect, which is 180 days from its passage, which would be October 27th of this year. So that's the value of the piece, is that the city would have all enforcement tools in place by the time the licenses for new smoke shops are given, whether it's through building and housing, certificate of occupancy, any use permit, along with the tobacco retail sales license and other licenses.
I got you.
So that's it.
I do have a question. So where you at? How you pushing it?
Yeah, so
What systems are you putting in
we,
place?
we are not able to give a tobacco retail license until October 27th regardless because of the existing legislation. And so I think our concern is with the moratorium that, let's say you have a existing smoke shop that was founded in 2017. Their occupancy permit says retail or convenience store. If they were to bring that to zoning today and say, no, we've been a smoke shop, we just didn't know that there was an option to select smoke shop on the occupancy use permit because that option didn't exist before, you'd have to fill it in. They wouldn't be able to get that corrected until the moratorium is over. And so it would create kind of a delay in enforcement. But doesn't
Okay.
do anything to kind of protect the residents. So that's what we were thinking.
Okay, and the value of this was just so that if a new smoke shop, it comes for a license, they wouldn't be able to get it until you have the tools of the tobacco licensing in effect in October. So let's say, for example, there's a smoke shop and they start selling to underage, minors, then it wouldn't be until October that the health director would have that ability to require the tobacco retail license and to enforce
So you
that.
say he would put a barrier on it, it would slow us down? What
Yeah,
you
it would-
saying? Or some kind of cloud?
That's the value of it. I can't speak to what, the director just said.
All right, now, let me ask you this question, Director. Right now, we passed the legislation, what was it, 3 weeks or a month ago?
Through the chair, yeah, it was signed into law April 16th.
All right, now you are working on putting and creating systems, putting it in place so that when we're able to move forward. So what kind of outcomes have you had? Have you hired new people to monitor and control the smoke shops?
Yeah, so thank you. Through the chair, so there have been a number of smoke shops and other tobacco retailers that have heard the news and being tried to applying for new occupancy permits. and they've been denied as a result of the zoning restriction in place. So that's already in place, that no new smoke shops are going to be built in Cleveland legally. And Building and Housing has assigned an inspector, Inspector Drazen, to do full-time inspections of just smoke shops to make sure that they have the correct occupancy permit or any occupancy permit and close them down if they don't. Third thing that's happening right now is, this is not us, but the state has organized, you might have been seeing this on Facebook and in the news, the state has organized a number of enforcement actions, essentially raids into existing smoke shops to make sure that they're, to follow up on rumors that they're selling cannabis illegally. And so that's currently happening as well as the state unanimously passed through the Senate new legislation that would outlaw the sale of Delta-8 and other THC derivative products outside of cannabis dispensaries. So that now is in committee for the House, and once that's passed, all of these smoke shops that sell cannabis-like products won't be able to sell those out of these 7 state licensed cannabis dispensaries. So that will help a lot with our efforts.
Last week in my neighborhood,
Yep.
and they went and they raided a few smoke shops and they're bringing them into court. It was the state. I saw that.
state
And moving forward. Right. Now, let me yield to you, Councilman. You had a question.
I do.
Turn your microphone
Thank you,
on.
Mr. Chair. My question is this through the chair. If 504 is not passed today and there's no moratorium on the books, will people be able to submit applications and wait until October, whatever it is, and then say, I got my application in on time?
Through the chair, so if they're applying for an occupancy permit now, they're already getting denied every day without the moratorium because of the legislation you passed, 188, 2025.
Through the chair, then to the director, are the permitted licensed shops already so abundant that they cover every square mile of Cleveland and all potential applications fail because of the mile restriction?
Through the chair, yes, that is
The
correct.
whole city's already covered?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, thank
No,
you.
let him finish. Jim.
I'll stop,
Council lady?
Yes, I just want to piggyback, Chair, I want to piggyback off of what Harsh just asked. If I'm not repeating it per se. Now, the smoke shops that are now in existence, that's less than a mile, and less than a mile, and also, okay, these are less than 2 miles apart already. Because you have one for one block to the next. And then you have smoke shops 500 feet from a church and also a school. What will happen to those since they already in existence prior to the moratorium
Moratorium.
in up to October 18th? So what are we going to do about those?
Through the
Chair,
chair,
to
so
the
for the existing smoke shops with a legal occupancy permit, we are going to enforce that they're following the rules. Chances are some of them will choose to switch their business model because of the increased enforcement, both at the local,
true.
state level. But if they are following all the laws at the time when they started and the new laws that we've passed, they'll be able to continue operating, unfortunately. Yeah, with or without the moratorium. So you asked, Councilman, to the chair, what changes with the moratorium or not. So currently, if someone is filing for an occupancy permit, they have the wrong occupancy permit, they think they deserve the smoke shop occupancy permit, they'll be denied by us, but then they can appeal through the Board of Zoning Appeals. So the moratorium would complicate that process in terms of, so if they've
504 will complicate it.
it would complicate it, correct. So if BZA agrees that, hey, this smoke shop has existed as a smoke shop since 2019, they are correct in their appeal and they deserve that occupancy permit, the moratorium would complicate that and basically bounce that decision until
It would,
end
yeah,
of
I mean,
October.
yeah, right, through the chair, it would delay it until October 27th. Yeah.
And so
I-
then, it then creates this basically enforcement loophole where they've appealed, there's a moratorium, they won't be
I see
able
what
to
you're
get
saying. Yeah,
correct.
they
So
come
let's
back.
say in June, what are we supposed to do with that process? So if a smoke shop is appealing through the process, we'd say they're appealing, But now we say, oh, they can continue operating until the moratorium ends in November, whereas if the BZA denies their appeal, then we can enforce that much sooner instead of having to wait till the end of October to make that change.
I like that. I like
So,
that.
so through the chair, this sounds like an unintended consequence, like
No,
this
I
is
like it, I
a,
like it.
yeah. But I just want, so if the director is telling at the table that any new smoke shop that applies for any certificate of occupancy, permit, or license is definitely not going to get through because of the 2-mile radius. So if that's true, then I agree there's not a value. But the point of this was to just delay it until the tobacco retail license takes effect so that the city would have full enforcement mechanisms.
That's what we said in caucus. We didn't know how fast we would. This was really, ordinance number 504-2025 was really for contingencies if we didn't pass the legislation a few weeks ago. All right? But right now, it can become a barrier to the systems that you're creating, Director, and we don't want that. And it will leave a loophole, so more of the tobacco and vape shops will be able to, come into our wards, which will create a nuisance with this 504-2025. If we pass it today, I think that's what you're saying in a nutshell, Director.
Through the chair, it would mean that the existing ones that are operating without an occupancy permit would be able to point to the moratorium as a reason they don't have their occupancy permit yet.
Right, and their lawyers could come in and use that.
Similar to what the Family Dollar did on Memphis, where they basically said that the moratorium didn't apply to them because they had already applied for their permit under, legal status before the big box store permit existed.
Well, through the chair, they were denied and went and appealed to common pleas or whatever and won in a higher court that they were allowed to build that, but they were stopped by the moratorium. I guess all we're really doing, though, is just changing the date at which we deny the application.
Yep.
That's right.
Through the chair, is the moratorium on applications or on accepting applications? I'm sorry, is the moratorium on accepting applications or approving applications?
Issuance.
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 So they can apply and it can
Yeah.
sit in the pipeline, and the moratorium would kick the can for rejecting that down to October. And what the director is saying is that we can just deny them right now without a moratorium because there
Right.
is no reason to kick the can to October. So the question is whether or not.
To October 27th.
Yeah. So the question is, with the moratorium, we kick the can to October and say, we can't even answer your questions until October. But without the moratorium, we can reject them now, and they can go through their appeal process, and we can reject them in their appeal process over the course of the summer.
Yeah, and through the chair, it's a great piece of legislation, don't get me wrong. It just, when it was written, just like you said, the intent was to get it passed right away. And unfortunately, because of administrative procedures, had to go through planning commission first, and that delayed
Yeah.
it 2 weeks. And
But
so-
I mean, it's still until October, so we had less time
Right.
of the moratorium, but, and when we introduced this moratorium, we knew that the smoke shop piece was going to,
Right.
go into effect under emergency measures. So that's why we did the 180 days. We tied it to the tobacco product sales licensing, because had we not done that, it really wouldn't, have made any sense. But, so again, the limited value of it is that if we give them up their permits and they start operating a smoke shop, we wouldn't be able to require the tobacco licensing that is required of smoke shops and enforce with that license and all those tools until October. So that's the value.
I neither see a reason to do this or not do this.
I don't want to create any issues if the director is he's moving forward with systems
I guess
now.
it's his shop, and he's going to have to
Right.
figure out how to do it.
And with me reading it, I'm looking to, and I'm going to ask you guys either to, to probably just to hold it. Where you at on that?
I think I support the director's request that, if this is already duplicative, then we not move forward with it. I do maybe want to add a brief comment that this maybe speaks to council's ability to move fast on things, that maybe we got to think a little bit about how we handle this, though I know everyone leapt into action as fast as they could. We just maybe should have teed it up as part of the actual legislative package, so we could have not ended up kind of, we're essentially behind the 8 ball, which is why we're here. So that's my opinion.
Okay. Well, I just would take issue, it's not duplicative. It just has limited value.
Oh, sorry.
Till, I'm sorry, I don't want to.
Just lawyer.
It's not duplicative.
Sorry. Thank you for that, Jen. I really appreciate
It's just that, you know, a smoke shop could be licensed and they could be violating certain laws that could be enforced through the tobacco retail license that, you know, is either, they're either going to be, you know, in business now, and if they're selling underage, we're, just like we've been, you know, not able to really enforce
do
it.
that. Right.
And if it waited till October, we'd be able to enforce that tobacco retail license in addition to our other laws. Yeah.
So Director, you had another question?
I did.
Yes, Councilor.
Okay. Chair to the director or Jennifer, our attorney, Council Attorney. The question is, the certificate of occupancy, is that with the owner of the building or with the tenant?
Through the chair of the councilwoman, that's with the owner.
With the owner?
Yeah, and that's issued by Building and Housing. And you can't operate legally without a certificate of occupancy.
So when the owner lease his building to the renter who's going to open up as a smoke shop,
Through the
How-
chair, they would, need it, they would require a copy of that certificate of occupancy. There are a number of smoke shops, we think, operating without a certificate of occupancy right now, and we're doing a whole widespread approach to enforcing that and with results that we'll be
Okay.
able to share soon, yeah.
okay, I just need to slow down a little bit because this is all new language. So when the owner has the certificate of occupancy, but then I come in and want to use that place as a smoke shop, what do I need to have as the chair to the director? What do I need to have to run it as a smoke shop, even though the owner has the, the certificate of occupancy? What do I supposed to have as the person who's opening up the?
You want to open your
smoke shop?
business up, and you want to talk with the owner of the business to get the occupancy permit, and then they got like a checklist, what you need to do. You know, a punch list, and then you go down to building and housing, and they come and inspect it and say yes or no for your certificate of occupancy.
For me as the renter, I have to have one too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's. Same thing, okay.
And then they also, when you bring in construction workers, you'll see on the window or on the door, they'll post the building permits. You know, that,
Right. I
they
understand
need to
that.
do the roof or whatever the case may be.
All right, just want to understand, this is a twofold situation.
Yep, through the chair, so yeah, it's required to operate a smoke shop in Cleveland after October 27th. You will need a certificate of occupancy that says smoke shop as the use, and you'll need a tobacco retail license. And in the meantime, to your point, so we're not issuing any
October.
issuing any new smoke shop permits, and that's why
Right.
we don't, we're comfortable
Which is
with
good,
the
which
law.
is good,
Yep.
because it was out of control. How many smoke shops do we have in the city?
Through the chair, we still do not know. We still do not know. So we're gonna, so there are, I think, like 100 that have the occupancy permit now, correct occupancy permit, and we're worried that there might be 200 to 300. So that's something that it's gonna, we're gonna spend the summer doing a formal registry to figure it out, and then we'll reach out, we'll be enforcing on those particular ones.
So what if we were to drive our neighborhoods, and I could write a list to give the list to you?
Through the chair, that would be extremely helpful. Yep.
Okay, great. That'll help me out.
Yep.
You know, because I've been noticing them driving my neighborhood. And like, wow, I didn't know I had one here on this street or that
Yep.
street. And so I'll create a list,
Great.
perhaps this week or next week when I drive my neighborhood, looking at other quality of life issues.
Through the chair, thank
So
you.
that can help us out. We write the address down, whatever the case may be. You're not the pinpoint person. Who can we send it to or give it to?
You could, through the chair, you could send it to me. Right now, Inspector Drazen from Building and Housing has, I think, reached out to all the executive assistants, all of your assistants, to collect that list, because I've seen the emails flying around, and so, but you can always use me as a point person.
All right, good,
Yep.
good. You know, I'll call you sometime even late at night or on weekends.
Yes, sir.
I'll call you up. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
If I have an issue, I go, Director?
I just want to make one last comment.
All right.
Chair to the director, we have many now on, in our area that borders Ward 6 and 4, but one of the smoke shop entrepreneurs, I had a conversation with him, being on the Buckeye Road, and they got reported due to the fact that they are harassing residents walking down the street with their flyer, pushing them to come into the smoke shop. One of my residents in the Ward 4 called me. She was very upset. She was harassed to take the flyer to patronize the smoke shop. I had no idea, but she went through another entrepreneur who owned his business. He calls me, said that she was upset and shaken because she got yelled at and screamed at because she refused to take the flyer to patronize the smoke shop. So then I, in turn, went down to the smoke shop to ask them stop harassing the residents who's walking down the street to force them to take the flyer because they don't want it. I said, in return, I got a call from another owner who called because the young lady was so upset she couldn't get to me because she didn't have my direct line. So in terms of that, I asked them not to push these flyers on residents who now complaining, even though I'm the council, but it got to me in this way. It's uncomfortable. So they were standing in the street, stopping traffic, passing out flyers to the drivers that was driving down the street and blocking traffic all the way down Buckeye. So I asked them, I said, you know, I'm not policing, but this is unethical. So happened the young lady got in touch with me the next day, and I come behold that I know the mother, her father. I just never met her per se. So she said that she was calling a complaint against the smoke shop who harassed her to patronize the store, and she told them repeatedly, no, 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 no. So I'm just saying that when I talked with the owner of the smoke shop, he literally said, and when I told him about, you know, what we were doing, he said, oh, I'm aware of that. He said, but unfortunately, I'm already grandfathered in. So I won't be removed from this neighborhood because I'm grandfathered in, and that is for others that gonna come behind me. So I'm saying they are aware of what's going on, but they're taking advantage of the situation too. But the young lady did report it to 4th District, and she's gonna pursue the complaint. And then I told her, and I told them that the young lady was gonna report the incident to 4th District, because come to find out, she said it was not only one of the workers that was pushing the flyer on her, it was a security guard that yelled at her in front of everybody on the street to take the flyer. So, and that made her even more uncomfortable that these smoke shops are literally pressing people to come into the shop, and they have no use of what they're doing. They're not against it. But however, you cannot force somebody to come into the shop to buy what you have, even to have interest, but just to see how that yo-yo out of control from her being upset, talking to another owner, the owner calling me, and it just kept going and on. But she did pursue that complaint with 4th District, and she said that she's going to pursue it as far as she can, because they are harassing folks that's in the neighborhood. So that's why I asked. We have so many, and they less than 2 miles apart. So there's nothing that can be done for them in that way, because from block to block to block, they're passing out these flyers harassing folks. So it's just unfortunate. There's nothing can be done about that.
Through the chair, yeah, so thank you. So I think something can be done, and because if they're breaking the law, they're breaking the law. I am optimistic about the state action that's pending in front of the House of Representatives in the state. If they pass that legislation, a number of smoke shops are going to go out of business that have been relying on those marijuana derivatives, and we can all take credit.
Right. I just wanted to know, because the
Yep.
people are
So
complaining
I'm
now.
optimistic. Their time is coming.
Great story, Councilwoman. So, if it's okay with you guys, I'm gonna move to hold this piece here. Study it some more to further notice. Is it okay? Yeah. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And have a blessed day. You do a great job with preparing legislation, O'Leary. You're
thank
good.
you.
You're very good. Let's move forward with ordinance number 559-2025. It's by Councilmember Conwell and Griffin by departmental request. It's an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunity for Youth, young adults to enter into one or more contracts with Rhonda Crowder and Associates, LLC, for providing out-of-school time marketing program for a period of 12 months with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. This has been approved, 559-2025, have been approved by the Finance Director as well as the Law Director. Chief.
Good morning, council members. Thank you for your time this morning. Today, we are going to be speaking to you about 559, and we're hoping soon after 558. And we have colleagues with us, and so we'll have them introduce themselves. But this legislation allows for us to go into new contracts as a part of our expanded programs dollars, specifically to support youth for summer programming this summer. And I'll just add a little context, if I might, because I know the members of this committee are always very interested in all of the work that is happening. We are in our second year of a citywide initiative called Summer Soundtrack, where the city of Cleveland, through our office, is serving as an anchor organization, coordinating all of the summer activities for young people across the city. So we are partnering with the organizations here and other organizations that are funded through expanded programs, along with the recreation centers, Case Western Reserve University, Cleveland schools, to ensure that our kids are all actively engaged in something positive and fun over the summer. And so last summer, our goal was to ensure that 7,000 kids had something actively that they were involved with under Summer Soundtrack, and all those partners coming together. We were able to make sure that there were over 11,000 engagements for our children, and this summer we're deepening that work. And so this work before you, while it's a part of expanded programs, it is also part of a larger summer collaborative. And thanks to our partners at RTA, you'll see things on the buses that are engaging families and kids for the summer. And so just wanted to share that with you as well. But Sherry Ellery would talk a little bit more specifically about this first program, but we do want to have our guests introduce themselves, if that's okay.
Okay.
Good morning, Council. My name is Rhonda Crowder. I am the CEO of Rhonda Crowder and Associates. We're a creative services agency that specializes in developing messaging and design strategies for branding, public awareness, and fundraising campaigns. We've been engaged in youth work for well over a decade, going into schools and working alongside Sonia Pryor-Jones, Chief Sonia Pryor-Jones's department, to help youth understand how to develop their creative skills as well as monetize them.
Oh, good.
Good morning, Council. My name is Asila Sharif. I serve as the Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the Karamu House, Cleveland's oldest Black, the nation's oldest Black producing theater. Yes, meaning a place of joyful gathering.
Entertainment. It's an entertainment party center, Swahili.
We do. Yes, yes.
We all don't
Yes.
have the amazing accent
There you go.
that the councilman has.
Nah, man, we were talking those Spanish, talking about Swahili.
And with the program we're speaking about that we're fortunate to receive support from the Mayor's Office of Prevention, Intervention, and Opportunities, it is our Summer Arts Intensive program. So this is a program that dives deep into performing and technical arts in the summertime with youth grades 6 through 12, teaching them not only the performing side of things, like I said, the technical side of things, and also the critical thinking and discipline that comes along with arts training.
You know, I love the arts. And, it teaches, it teaches more. Matter of fact, I received a national award for my work in the arts. And you know where I come from? Karamu. I used to, I did Guys and Dolls, you see, Tamarines the Glory, and what's the other? HMS Pinafore. And Tony Silas and I, we used to do a lot of work together in the arts for children. Best friends. Matter of fact, Mahalia Sings, I did Mahalia Sings also. And from that, I started performing everywhere, moved to Los Angeles, California, but my upbringing, part of it came from the Karamu house, Karamu Nyama and Dugu Rafiki Yangu place, you know, right from there. So I look at it. Matter of fact, my wife and I, we have our it's etching stones on your bricks that's there. So I know a lot about the Karamu house, you know. From the beginning to the end, you guys do great work. You keep children off the streets. And some of them who was with me, they're doctors and dentists and lawyers. They even left the entertainment, but at the Karamu, almost got me saying Karamu, it built character.
Yes, sir.
Character, self-esteem, pride, character that you transfer over to life, skills, being good husbands, good fathers, everything because of that character building that you guys do, which is part of it, just like football and any other thing, in the arts. So it's very, very important. And I know about your work and my background being with you guys. So tell Tony I said hello.
I will do. Thank you for that.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Through the chair to the committee, I'll start with 559. This is part of our summer academies. I know you were present when we did the presentation from YOU, and we talked about we have some academies through the YOU Summer Employment Program, and this is one of the academies, and youth learn the skills of the specific field that a specific pathway is taking them. If you look at the second slide, 2023 overview, we started the summer with 8 youth and completed the 8 youth started and completed the program. And in the fall, 6 youth started and 5 youth completed the program. They earn certificates in coding and marketing automation. And then they do a number of projects. And if you've ever stopped in our office, which I know Councilman Conwell has been up there several times, you'll see in our conference room some of the posters of the things that the kids have put together. In 2024, we had 10 youth that started and 9 completed the program. In the fall, 5 started, 4 youth completed the program. Again, they developed individual logos and a website for their personal brand. I think what we learned from the first year was to really deepen the understanding of having a logo and having a personal brand. It was better that they look at themselves first before they look at a company and start developing that way. Again, they earned a number of certificates listed on your presentation. And here is some pictures of the kids in action. The summer program is 8 weeks. It's 4 days a week, 5 hours a day for 20 hours a week, which is 160 hours of instruction over the course of the summer. And in the fall, it's 10 weeks, 8 hours a week for a total of about 80 hours for the fall program.
I like
Do you-
this, just a lot.
Have any questions on this one?
You know what I really like about going back here with projects? The thing about with projects, that's transferable skills also. A lot of times students, they learn how to read and write, which you always push. Rhonda Crowder, reading is important. And, but there's no but there. when you learn projects, you take the application of the knowledge that you learn and you use it toward, you could work for Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, whatever the case may be, when you work with projects, because it's a system. Even in CMSD, I watch them, when I visit the schools, they don't teach project management. When you're in project, you know how to work as a team in different roles and responsibilities for projects. And then you're looking for outcome measures dealing with projects. And that could take you to, similar to when you mentioned YOU, like workforce training to get someone job ready. You have to understand projects. You don't work by yourself. You work as a team.
Exactly.
And from that project, then you learn how to do resource analysis, the implementation of projects, and how to execute a project. Because sometimes when workers don't work, they don't move forward, they don't understand how to execute a project, how to monitor and control the project, and how to finish the play, or how you close the project out. So in this here, you're teaching them life skills and job readiness skills also, and which is good for us. So I really like that project management that you have in there. Because Rhonda Crowder and I talk about it a lot. You know, she's one of my bosses. You used to be one of my bosses, but she is one of my bosses, live in the neighborhood. And she actively volunteer and help out a lot in the neighborhood. So it's not just, she has an up-close view dealing with it and working. You have a good person in her. She's there, just working in the neighborhood, giving back. So that brings a lot, that helps me out a lot. Thank you. That was my statement.
Thank you. Through the councilman, would you like us to go and do the presentation for 558, the Karamu? Karamu?
Well, actually,
Or-
do you have any questions on the 559
Okay.
2025? I know you do, because you're an artist also. So, you know, you and I, we were over here talking about the Watchtower earlier. Jimi Hendrix song.
Mr. Chairman, I only had one comment, and that was through the chair to the director, a thank you. I see the not to exceed clause. That makes me so happy. I love it when we put that as part of our expenditures. That was my only really comment about the legislation. And we all know that they do good work. And I think through the chair, this is a renewal of a previous year, I believe, as well, right? We've been doing this for a little while.
Through the chair to the councilman, this is actually a new contract, but we have contracted with the same vendor before. You may recall during one of our other committee meetings that there was an amendment made by one of your council colleagues that we would bring all new contracts individually to council.
To council.
Yeah. I think for projects like this, Chairman, I think consistency is really important. I think when people see the same thing happening every year, they might think about trying it next year or the year after, and so I think it's important.
So how you doing your outreach through the chair to Rhonda Crowder? Director?
How do we identify the students? Through YOU. So YOU we work with YOU to identify the students. We kind of give them a sense of what we're looking for. So students who have interest in entrepreneurship, may have interest in writing, design, or any type of art, gaming, because that's the technology piece, you know, so we kind of give them a sense of what to look for in the students, and they did a remarkable job last year. That's why we had such great retention last year, because it was students who were actually interested in photography, graphic arts, writing, entrepreneurship. And another thing that we do is we assess them in the beginning to see what their interests are, you know, what career paths they're already considering. And even if it's not marketing, we try to help them understand, like say for example, they might be interested in wanting to be a scientist. We help them understand how marketing is related to all career fields and pathways.
Do you, when you bring in people to speak with them, because you know a lot of people in the neighborhood?
Yes. So we do a photography workshop. We may bring in a social media specialist to look specifically at social media, the role of social media management, things like that. So we do bring in speakers to speak to the students. And then they also receive 2 books. They receive a book about copywriting. They receive a book about brand development that they're required to read over the summer and for us to discuss along the way.
That's some good stuff there. That's good stuff. And how many weeks did you say your program?
8 weeks in the summer and 10 weeks in the fall. So the summer is pretty much about setting the foundation for the work. And then a lot of the work, some of the work we start to execute on in the summer, towards the end of the summer. The fall is all about execution.
Do you have, let's say when you close out your program, what you bring in, their parents and?
Yes.
Is there some kind of, well, what is it when you close it out?
We invite parents in. We also have invited Ms. Ellery in to do a final presentation. So they present
Okay.
what they learned over the course of the program, the actual projects that they developed. It's usually a marketing campaign, advertising campaign, so they show that work.
Do you have, like, the chief talks about children. With me, if parents could do a project or program with their children, then you'll have, like, in the fatherhood movement, you have fathers being engaged. You can evaluate that better when they work with their children to perform presentations, and that's priceless.
Parents are invited. Most times they're working, may not be available. So we may have 1 or 2 parents that show up.
Okay.
Because especially in the summer, with the age of the students, parents may be dropping them off and picking them up. We have some that do take RTA to get there.
And your program is where? Where's it's based out of where?
The first year we were at, what's the name of it?
E.B. Turner.
E.B. Turner. Last year we was at Cleveland
Where's
Public.
E.B. Turner?
Miles,
Okay.
just below 116th and Miles.
Yeah,
And last year we was at the main library in Studio 525 and also in the digital library on the 3rd floor in the old building. The library was a good central location because we did have students coming from both the east and west side.
Was class well attended?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, you have a good person, and I respect her a lot, man. I mean, you know what? Just like when you and I met, the same way, Sonia and I met, in the neighborhood, walking, because, I walked the neighborhood a lot, an awful lot, and that's where we met. And I have a great respect for people who are out there touching people in the community. And so when you look at Rhonda Crowder, she's out there in the neighborhood, she has an up-close view, a genuine concern and a sensitive ear to help people in the community. So she's actually out there. It's not just book work. She's really working in the neighborhood, so I'll vouch for her at any time. She's good. She's good. She's
Thank
good.
you.
Very good. Any other questions on 559?
Yes, thank you. This program, Chair to Rhonda, since this program is a model it's a model academy program working with YOU. Do the students get a stipend?
They do. So it's a earn and learn.
It's an earn and learn.
It's a earn and learn, yes.
Okay, the earn and learn Chair to Rhonda, meaning earn and learn, the time frame they be there, or they have to be there, like most programs, you have to be there 90% or 95% of the time frame, or whether do you have like days, they allow days off, or since it's earn and learn?
They are allowed days off. They earn an hourly wage, so they have to submit a timesheet. The timesheet has to be reviewed, submitted to YOU. We do not terminate for X amount of missed days.
Okay.
We do not do that.
Okay.
Do you call them up to ask them why they've been missing?
We do try to understand why they may miss. For example, last year we had a student who was a mother. And a lot of her time missed was because she couldn't find childcare for her child.
Chief, do you, I'm sorry,
Okay, and that's-
because I like working with children.
I do too, because I have the job certification program that I kicked off from PIO and YOU. So it has some similarity to what Rhonda is doing with this particular program, you know, per se. But that's why I asked the question, because YOU is involved. But due to this is a different type of program, what are the age range? And I know it's citywide, but Chair to Rhonda, what is the age range?
9th through 12th grade.
9th through
And
12th.
YOU does provide a job coach that works with the students to, you know, whatever issues they may have, they work through the job coach, or, you know, they may talk to us about them sometimes. But, you know, we also do resume building, reference recommendation letters, things like that as well. So it's an ongoing relationship. You know, we make it clear to them that once the program is over, if they need a recommendation letter, things like that, they're more than welcome to reach out to us for that.
Great, great. And also, to the point of the young lady that didn't have childcare, is that something can be considered of providing childcare?
Well,
Since she-
we made it known to the chief, and she let us know what resources were available, and we passed that on to the child, to the student.
Okay, wonderful. All right, Chair, thank you. Great program.
When you finish, Councilman?
Yes, I am finished.
So you do an individual service plan with each participant? So if they need resources, housing, food, or their family might need whatever resources they might need, because sometimes they could be a participant, but they might not show up because they have other issues and concerns but that individual service plan, because it's not one size that fit all. You have an individual service plan, then you know how to do prevention. So Chief?
To the chair, I will say the example that Ms. Crowder just shared showed us a gap in our process from last summer because it was shared towards the end of the program.
Right.
And so a couple of people are there on the front line. Ms. Crowder mentioned that YOU has a job coach, and so a part of that person's role in the system that YOU has in place is to really be walking with those students from the start of their summer experience through the end of their summer experience. What this example taught us was the city at the time, and we're hoping to present this to council soon, we were in a partnership with Starting Point where we were offering scholarships to families who have children living in the city of Cleveland to help supplement any costs that they might have when they're running into a child care issue. And then Starting Point is a broader partner as our Early Childhood Resource Center. And so had we tightened up some of that communication on the front end, I think we would have better served this particular young lady. And so one of the things that we've talked about doing for this summer is making sure that job coach is introduced to our support specialists. And so they understand anything that might be out of their purview. They have a support specialist that they can reach in our office to help them with any additional wraparound services that may be needed.
That's important. And then, you know, you're teaching job readiness skills. However, sometimes there's barriers to employment.
Yes.
For whatever the barriers might be to the employment. So you could graduate someone, but if they have those barriers to employment, they might not get it. And then you wonder why they're not being hired to a company, whatever the case may be, or something that's blocking a career for whatever the barriers to employment might be.
Exactly, and if I might, Chair, it's also about the importance of redundancy. So often we say, well, they had a job coach, why didn't they figure it out? Or there's a support specialist, why didn't they figure it out? First, they needed a trusted, caring adult that they can trust and say, this is the problem that I'm experiencing, and then having enough people resources around that one of those individuals could help figure out how to address the barrier. And so when we think about our youth and our young adults in particular, we do need redundancy in our systems so that they can go to the trusted adult that they feel good and where they have rapport and relationship, and we can resolve those barriers.
Man, that's a good thing. I'm going to say this, then we'll move on. I'll ask you any other questions. I'm going to do a sidebar with you on this. And I see people, they make mistakes. Here's an example. Some people might say, I don't want to work for, let's say, McDonald's. They're looking at people doing the fries and flipping the burgers, whatever the case may be. But if some of these companies, when we look at systems, let's say McDonald's, you can get your CDO license, become a driver. You could learn purchasing and procurement, and you could order the food, okay, for McDonald's, okay? Or you could deal with preventive maintenance for McDonald's. You could do marketing, which they call LSM, for McDonald's, local store marketing in the community, so you could bring in more customers. And see, a lot of times when you teach job readiness, you don't teach the whole system. They only see what's in front of them. And so children have to see the success, and you got to teach them other systems. Finance is in McDonald's. You can get your real estate license and do real estate for McDonald's. And these people make hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they don't teach our children about systems that's in place. They say, oh no, I don't want to work for McDonald's. I'm like, man, they're not telling you what's really in the system. You can work for Karamu House, Karamu. Got me saying Karamu. It's finance. You can be the finance director or the CFO. You don't have to just be an actor or actress. There's other systems that's in place, and then we don't teach that in job readiness a lot. And I look at that, you know. That's just my pet peeve I wanted to talk with you about.
Absolutely. I mean, exposure is everything. And I think in some cases, young people are also able to pick up transferable skills, is what I heard you talking about.
Transferable skills.
But they need enough experiences, and again, that redundancy in the system to allow for it all.
That's important. That's very, very important. Any
One
other?
more. How do we get, Chair, to Rhonda and the team, how do we get this program out to youths that can attend your program when it starts this summer and fall? How can we get this information out and put it in our newsletters per se, so the more youths are aware citywide that this is going on?
I think one of the great things about the program is that the project that they're working on is marketing and advertising for the expanded programs. And so they not only talk about the other programs that's available through the city, but they talk about their own, the Cleveland Marketing Academy. So they've created a Instagram page for Cleveland Marketing Academy to talk about the programs that's happening, not only Cleveland Marketing Academy, but the other programs that's taking place through the neighborhood resource and recreation centers.
That's good.
All right, thank you.
And if I could just, I think also, Councilwoman, through the chair to the Councilwoman, you were also talking about how you can promote it to get kids involved. It's important to make sure you all understand this program is specifically tied to the Wild Youth Summer Program. And so that pool of young people that you already have been promoting to apply for Wild Youth Summer jobs, they are tapping that pool based on the shared interest to participate in this program. That allows us to pay young people for their time.
Is there a way we could, let's say, Rhonda Crowder Program and Associates, take the children, let's say, on a field trip, that they actually have to see it? I mean, you giving them great knowledge, and I like the program, but let's say if they want to go to Tri-C Community College to learn more about marketing and financing, whatever the case may be, when they graduate from your program, but let's say they graduate from East Tech or Glenville or Rhodes, whatever, because then they might want to get into marketing And because you could do marketing at Cleveland Clinic, marketing for Pepsi-Cola, marketing for Pizza Hut, whatever the case may be. But if you bring them into, or you bring Tri-C to see them or whatever, you know where I'm going, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to understand the program better, but where I think of outcome measures.
Absolutely. Last fall, we took the students to the Future Land Conference.
A what land?
The Future Land Conference, so that's the tech conference.
Okay.
That's, the partners are City of Cleveland,
Okay, yeah, I know
Jumpstart,
about them. Yes,
and
yes.
United Black Fund.
Right.
So they had a whole day, which would have been the work day. So it was the day, you know, because they were coming on Saturdays in the fall. So during the time that we would have been in session, we actually met over at the Future Land Conference. They got an opportunity to, you know, see the different workshops and people who are working in tech, entrepreneurs, things like that. So we are always looking at opportunities at how we can expand exposure and knowledge of the industry.
Okay, yeah, that works.
And I have one more, if I might add. We also have been, we're really excited about this, talking about this summer with Ms. Crowder and Janelle, our new director over at TV20, Emmy-nominated TV20, by the way. Isn't that amazing? She's doing great stuff over there. So about having young people from this program as well as additional students from the overall YOU program engaged with the TV20 team.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's real good. Any other questions on ordinance number 559, 2025? Stand approved. Add her up. Ordinance number 558, 2025, by council members Conwell and Griffin, by departmental request. It's an emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance on behalf of the Office of Prevention, Intervention, Opportunity for Youth and Young Adults to enter into one or more contracts with Karamu House, really Karamu Onyama, to provide the out-of-school time theater arts program for a period of 12 months and 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Ordinance number 558, 2025 have been approved by the Director of Finance as well as the Director of Law.
Thank you, Chair. Again, this is one of our programs, a new contract for a program that we have engaged with in the past, and we'd like to do that again, focused on another amazing enrichment opportunity centered in the creative arts for young people this summer. I will have Sherry talk a little bit more about what we've experienced with the program thus far, and then our guests from Karamu House will also speak more specifically about the program.
That's correct, it is.
To the chair, to the committee. I know you're all very familiar with Karamu House. And what I like the best about this program is that it's a comprehensive program. Dance, drama, vocal music, literary and visual arts as well, but it also teaches the technical aspects of the program, the behind-the-scenes work that the youth do in the program. So, and that's a high-need area right now. Yeah, people are, theaters are looking for people to help out with creating the backdrops and that sort of thing.
The design.
Yes, design work. So in 2023, we've had this program for a number of years. I'm going back to 2023 and 2024. There's 2 tracks, again, the performance and the technical theater, the stage management, the scenic construction, costuming, all of those things. And then in 2024, again, we had the program, and this is based primarily in the Fairfax neighborhood. And you see the kids working there on the technical aspect of the program. And this program is 5 weeks, 5 days a week, 25 hours a week for a total of 125 hours. And I will turn this over to Asila, and she can explain a little bit more about the program.
So what play are they designing for?
This was,
Set design for what
yes,
play?
the set design that is here in this image is representative of the production the students put on and produced in conjunction with the teaching artist last summer. It was called The Boy Who Kissed the Sky, and it was a story about Jimi Hendrix from his youth.
Yeah, man. What you talking about?
Jimi Hendrix?
The sky.
Nah, excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Yeah.
Kiss the sky.
The line.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
Talk about Jimi Hendrix. I didn't know it was about Jimi Hendrix.
Yes, the story was about Jimi Hendrix and his youth, and so that was
Y'all
the
don't know
show
about that. You
from
too young. Yeah.
last summer. We love this program, and we're always excited to have this program for the community. We are based, of course, in the Fairfax neighborhood, but open to any Cleveland resident. The performing arts portion of this program is focused on grades 6 through 12. The Upstage Technical Theater Workforce Development Program is focused on grades 8 to 12. So like was just shared a moment ago, we have over 93 theaters in Northeast Ohio. Of those 93 theaters, you would be very hard-pressed to find certain populations represented in the technical theater. So we're talking about production designers, lighting designers, electrical designers, electricians for theater, set design, master carpenters. You can go down the list. Wig designers, makeup artists, costumers. Even at Karamu House or Karamu House, we are probably, it's a very small percentage of the technical artists we hire are actually of color or women. And this is just because many reasons, I'm sure. We could go down a list, but awareness and representation is one part of that. And so with the technical theater workforce development part of this, we are working to help build a pipeline for employment for these young people. So we're thinking about those young people who are on TikTok and social media, for instance, the girls who love makeup and hair. They may not know that that skill set is transferable for the theater and for film. And so we want to get them in with professional artists who can show them how to transfer those skills and to monetize them, as Rhonda was saying before.
Good stuff.
And so we're very excited about this program. We've been able to, with this technical theater program, the young people who work on the technical side of the summer production work the production for that summer. So these students will all be in together, the performers and the technical. So when we accomplish the production that is professional caliber at the end of the summer, all students can contribute to and see the manifestation of the work they've put in over that summertime. As was shared also earlier, Karamu's arts education philosophy is based on a method we call the Sankofa method. So it really is, we think about the Adinkra meaning of Sankofa, which is go back and get it. And what we want students to, one, understand is their knowledge of self. Who are you and how are you defined through your family structures? What is your family definition through community? And then how does your identification in community translate and support the idea of the larger community? And Karamu, as an arts institution, longstanding, 110 years in June, is a part of that community. So we're not only building the creativity and critical skills within these young people, but we're also hoping to build the next generation of art supporters, because we know our arts institutions do not continue if our audiences don't grow with us. The program is fun, right? We get students in the building and it brings in a lot of energy. We're always excited about that. They have long days and intense rehearsal periods and learning and training periods, but they really do come out on the other end from what we can gather through the data, satisfied. We have probably 85% and upwards of customer satisfaction, and that is not only the youth, but also their families. We work to make sure there is that family engagement component. We want the families to come in and to understand what the young people are doing on a daily basis, because that also helps them to become audiences and long-term supporters of the arts and culture in our community. What else to say about this? And I guess the other very important things about this program is that the focus on 21st century learning and social emotional learning, sounds like SEL. Social emotional learning are very important to this process. So we know, like we were sharing before, if the students are not comfortable and they don't trust us and trust that we are hearing and seeing them, we're not going to get any production out of them. We make sure to establish that safe space on day one. So we want to know who they are. We want to understand who they are. We want to understand their families, because we are going to pick up the phone and call when we haven't seen Johnny for 2 days. What's going on over there, and how can we get you here? What are the barriers? We don't. We want to make sure that the barriers are, we're free of barriers, so participation stays high, engagement stays high, attendance stays high. We do provide the students with meals while they're on campus with us for that day. It's a long day. The technical days are even longer when it comes time to get ready for that production the week before. But we establish that trust, we establish that space, we listen to them, we work as best as we can to provide resources for the needs that are present. And we hope to just continue to see the program grow. You know, Karamu has a long history of training artists. There are still artists working in Hollywood and on Broadway who got their foundational training at this theater. And so we want to make sure we are preparing the next generation for the next 100 years. Thank you.
You got me thinking of Purple Haze. That's nice. Yeah. Mr. Chairman. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
I mean, chorus in that song. Man.
Mr. Chairman, the legacy of Jimi Hendrix is often discussed, and I think that you have to separate his career into two sections. There's Jimi Hendrix, the astronaut. He's very famous for doing things that were never done with a guitar before, and that people did not know you could do with guitar.
Jimmy played left-handed, didn't he? With the left
Yes,
hand.
he was actually upside down and left-handed. He didn't even play a left-handed guitar. He played upside down, which is a thing in its own. But I think that you know, the winds of history will teach us that more proficient guitar players came along, and people who could play the guitar better came along.
What,
but no one,
better than Jimmy?
Yes.
Nah, man,
Jimmy's
you
been left in the
crazy.
dust by the winds of history. However, no one has ever embodied the spirit of experimentation and the astronaut aesthetic that Jimi Hendrix had. When he played what he played, people did not know you could do that with a guitar.
Yeah, he
And
was
it blew their
elevated.
minds. And I think that tends to overshadow, Mr. Chair, the fact that his greatest songwriting comes from his ballads. His greatest
ballads.
craftsmanship as a man putting lyrics to melody comes from The Wind Cries Mary and Little Wing and Salt Castles Made of Sand. These are songs that are the gentle songs that I think embody his best songwriting, but he will be remembered for that riff, that Purple Haze, right? Because that riff blew people away, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know you could make that sound with the guitar. And so his heavier stuff, unfortunately, will be what he's remembered for, where his gentle stuff is where I think he made the
We were
greatest
just talking
contribution
about Jimmy.
to the American
What was
songbook.
that song you...
We're apparently here to talk about Jimi Hendrix.
See, when you do that
Don't
to
forget the
musicians,
national anthem.
You know, I wake up in the morning thinking of
Astronaut.
music. I go to sleep thinking of music. And when you do that to musicians, you throw me off. Because we were here while we were waiting. What was that song you did the 3 chords? Jimi Hendrix.
Bob Dylan wrote All Along the Watchtower, and Jimi Hendrix covered it within a year and made it his own. It is a 3-chord song. It is A minor, G, F major,
Yeah.
and there is no chorus or bridge in that song. It is a
Nah.
one
I'll be Purple Haze, yeah.
up and down the guitar.
Cello always do it.
And this is the power of the arts, right? This is it.
This-
This is it.
Maybe someday the arts will even lead you into politics, where your job becomes legislative.
You know what? You wake up in the morning sometime and you think about either music or you think about legislation. You know, one of the two.
Depends on
But-
if you're left-brained or right-brained for the
Right.
day.
I have, and I'm blessed to have 3 national awards, and one of them is in the arts, and 2 is in other things of legislation, which is good, like fatherhood, peace, as well as writing legislation for people with disabilities. So, you know, but you think about it, man, when you wake up, like we're at the table talking about what we're talking about now, and then you do reflection, and when you have reflection, either you think about it in songs and you write legislation. So it's both, you have to be creative writing legislation as well as being creative writing music, writing the arts. So they're like correlated together in my mind. That's just where I'm at.
I think that makes sense. You know, we always talk about when we're training the young people. For instance, last summer, 3 of our participants auditioned and successfully were accepted into Cleveland School of the Arts. And we celebrate that. However, If the students want to become professional artists, we're going to continue and push them along the way as best we can. We are most excited in them just becoming well-rounded citizens, and we find that the discipline, the rigor, the focus that it takes to become successful in your artistic discipline is going to translate regardless of the field.
Yeah, and I'm going to yield to that in a second. We have another artist here, Stephanie House Jones, who family members, Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know, so we sit back and we discuss the arts all the time. Me and Harsh and Stephanie Tubb Jones, and the thing, when you hear artists like Marvin Gaye, and you hear artists Stevie Wonder, and you hear artists, they talk about politics also, and they talk about government in their songs. And that's the point I wanted to bring out. It's correlated. It's correlated. When you mentioned him, you threw me off. Let's get back to your question.
I think, Mr. Chair, if we're gonna name drop, we should mention Bobby Womack, Cleveland's own, who's was a triple threat. The man played guitar, he wrote songs, and what was his? He could sing. He was a
110th Street,
singer.
110th Street.
And up on 105th Street, I believe. Is it 110th? Is it 110th? My bad.
Right around the
Okay.
corner from you.
Is the 110th that you represent? I believe.
Right, I'm listening to it right
It was the
now.
110th. I always thought it was 105th.
Now,
110th.
Now, you better not
Yeah,
say
you're right,
105th while you gigging with us.
Although-
You gotta have to be 110th Street.
Some people would say he'd already moved to New York City when he wrote that song. And those people are
But it's-
Cleveland haters.
No, but his
We don't
background,
listen to them.
you know, his background came from Cleveland.
Because we assume he was thinking about 105th and moved to New York, and it was 110th in New York. And he's like, well, I'm in New York now. I got to do 110th. But I bet there's a recording of Up on 105th Street, because that would be the street where,
I haven't
in his
heard,
days
but
in
it
Cleveland.
could be. Yeah, 110th Street. You got Ron O'Neal.
Yes.
Right around there also. Ron O'Neal. What's the other guy on SNL? Saturday Night Live. He's from the Caramel House. Yeah. He's one of the first actors there. I forgot his name, but Silas would know him. He would say
Gregory?
it just like that.
Not Dick Gregory. Not Dick Gregory.
No, not Dick Gregory. I'm looking at him right now.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You know, you see people and he hollering at me right now. Morris or something like that. God.
Yeah, no, he was the.
He's still acting. He was on Two
He was
Broke
before
Girls,
Murphy.
and I know exactly who you're talking about. Morris is
Oh, I
the
didn't know
last
he was from
name.
Cleveland.
But I didn't realize he
I know who
had
you're talking about.
Caramel ties. I didn't know that.
Hey, Caramel Ties.
Yeah.
Was Steve Harvey ever over there?
Yeah.
No,
Well, I don't know if it
no,
was
Steve
at
didn't
Caramel,
go. He
but
didn't go
he
over there.
went
But he
to
from
Lubbock.
Glenville, though, you know. He wanted to throw some things
He is a
around.
tar bladder.
He is a tar bladder and went to Kent State.
He was a tar bladder.
Yeah, tar bladder, yeah. You guys thinking about it. Great tradition with the Caramel House.
And through the chair, if I could also point something out in this photo, because it brings together all the worlds, right? STEM education, vocational learning, and representation as mentioned. And that is these three young women with power tools. And I don't want us to miss that because I think it is just such a critical thing that we do, and that is to make sure in every moment where we can that we get young people, particularly young women, engaged in STEM and vocational-based workforce opportunities. And here's an easy example of how you could do it through the arts.
Garrett Morris.
Garrett Morris.
Yep, Garrett Morris. That's my guy. See, we sit back and we discuss those things. I know that the arts, I remember, and I'm going to say this, I have a program called Play It Forward Cleveland. And I work with CMSD schools and Severance Hall, Arts Inspired Learning, and we collect every year $100,000 worth of instruments. And City Council sends through you, Sherry, the children to music school, Arts Inspired Learning, Julio de Burgos, Music School Settlement, whatever the case may be. And so when they're finished, if they need instruments, drum sets, whatever the case may be, we give them nice, used, gently used instruments for the children. So we deeply involved with this right here. Because you'll find, and we send the children to free music lessons.
Well, I can only say thank you. We know that the arts are constantly under attack, and so to be in a city that is so supportive of arts learning for young people, for an institution like Caramel House, means everything. Thank you.
That means a lot. Any questions on this? I mean, I'm there. I just want to be invited. Tony, when he sees me, we're best friends. So he's looking at me as the best friend. But he should invite me, like, you know, everyone else come. You know, I stop sometime when I'm driving, and I go into schools, East Tech or Glenville, whatever the case may be, and jam with the students. But I'm never invited. That's part of my home.
We're going to change that.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, you may remember back in 2021, at the end of the summer, Karamu House came out to the Rotunda and did their performance in the Rotunda. So we're talking about maybe doing something like that again at the end of the summer this year.
Yeah, that'd be cool beans. I remember that. I do. So any questions on?
Yes, I just want to make one comment. Just want to say, I think this is a great program that you're bringing to the Cameron House, but I just want to say this. We are initiating the Mortis Theater on Buckeye.
Oh, yeah.
And that has been approved by Council 2 for the funding that is now renovating the Mortis Theater. That's going to be like a similar replica of Caramel, because we're going to open up for arts and culture for the children in the Buckeye area, Buckeye, Shaker, Launchmere, Mount Pleasant area, for them to have the same summer, entertainment for the youths, so they can have a place to go and enjoy arts and culture, as well as in the evening time, we're going to open up as Motown Entertainment. We're going to bring Lamont Robinson, who's the R&B, over the R&B International. He's going to lead that, and we're working with him, with Burton Bell Carr. We got to get to some paperwork, but they're going to open up as a Motown Entertainment in the evening time, since he already has that connection. So every neighborhood should have something similar to the Caramel House, and this we already have in the process to open up the Mortis Theater similar to that, so our kids can have a place to go and be entertained, and also learn, different arts and culture. So thank you to our king, Kevin Conwell, Councilman Kevin Conwell, as well. But to know that other places are now, other areas now open up, something similar, to the Caramel House. So just want to say that to you.
That's amazing.
But you know what? We need to open it up for children. For example, with the Buckeye, you were Showboat Robinson. He used to play for the Harlem Globetrotters. We go back, we go way, way back. However, because it's arts and music, that's my
Yes.
world. Yeah, he said to the 30s.
Going way back.
But anyway.
Now, they was open up in, I think, the Mortis Theater was opened up back that long, somewhere in the 30s, by the gentleman who opened it up back then. I think it was in the 30s. They opened up as a Mortis Theater, as like a movie theater.
Yeah.
A movie theater back then. There's a lot of history to the Mortis Theater, and they did that as a movie theater and was running the old black and white movies in that theater at the time. And then they closed it, and then they reopened it up again, and then try to, open up again as the movie theater. And then they started doing some other entertainment there. They tried again and again. They closed again, but then it opened up as a couple of churches and for entertainers over time. But then again, but now we got it. Now we're going to reopen it, and we're going to, and it's for the long sustainability for our youths and also for entertainment for our adults. So we got a plan, and we're going to move forward with it. So I appreciate the camera. And also, just, and also this is my bucket list. I went to the Cameron House when I was much younger, and I did dance there. It was just I did a little dance there, just a little dance. Exactly, there's no politics without artists. And I did that, I think, just one semester, and I just wanted to just be involved and do something different, because then I went to East Tech. I did modern dance East Tech, and then I left there. Then I wanted to continue on it in my personal life. So I took a modern dance class there, and then I went to Tri-C and took the modern dance at Tri-C too. So just got a little talent in my background. That's how I move and groove sometimes. So just to say the least, just throw it out there, okay? So I appreciate this program. I appreciate running this program. So this is just fantastic for our children.
It makes us think about it.
All right.
In the arts and politics, although, you hear artists singing about politics and what's going on, and people make the world go round by stylistics. you know, buses on strike, going to raise the fare, and all those kind of things. You have some artists who switched over to politics. You know, like you look at even the president of the United States. He was an entertainer. You have to look at Ronald Reagan, all right, an entertainer. Sonny Bono, entertainer. Was some sister for the Supremes, and as he's in Detroit, entertainer. So if you look at a lot of that, because you know when they give speeches, you have to be entertaining also. You know, so it is. I told you it crosses over. So if you invite us, we understand that. And you have some people on council that the council lady just narrated to you understands. We'll look at each other and we understand, you know, about the arts. So we're very, very happy.
And lest I forget, Ruby Dee. It's her picture going, it's her artistry picture gonna go back on the wall because it kind of faded away a little bit. They're gonna put that back up, put that back up after they do the construction. Are they gonna, that's a question.
We're going to remedy that mural, yes. We were fortunate enough to, at the end of our last season, have members of the D family come to attend production. We produced a show, Pearly Victorious, which was Ossie Davis, an Ossie Davis production. And members of the family did come, but you know, before they let us even have the rights to that, they said, what's going on with that mural on the side of the
What's
building?
going on?
What's going on with that mural?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so,
Martha Reeves? Yes. Yep, Martha Reeves from Detroit.
Michigan.
And who was the guy from, and I'm gonna yield and we'll sign, Dramatics, Ron Banks. He was going to, but he ended up passing away. 'Cause he and I used to talk. And he was looking around for council in Detroit. All right, he was looking around, but then Ron ended up, you know, before your time, Rhonda, he ended up passing away, you know, so it's crossover into that. So the council lady, Rebecca Moore, said she has to go to another meeting. I had to keep this quorum. The ordinance member, yeah, she had to run.
Through the chair, could we get the council lady's opinions on Jimi Hendrix?
Yeah, you heard me on Jimmy, man. You heard me on Jimi Hendrix. I like Wes Montgomery and Kenny Burrell also. I like those guys, man. They're great. Ordinance number 558-2025 stands approved. Batter up. There we are.
Thank you. And if I could just say to the chair and our council members, we really do appreciate this time with you this morning. It was extremely engaging, and also very much aligned with all of our belief that young people deserve these opportunities. So thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. There you are.
Do we have to wait for the gavel?